Well, hello. Because I know this is going to get broadcasted on BAMFisdoes' YouTube page, just for the sake of respecting my privacy, we're going to go with my stage performance name, if you will. My name is JP Severs, and I'm about to embark on one of the most important things I've ever done in my life. This video isn't just about me. It'll be about everybody. Big, small, short, and no matter what color you are. I'm hoping that through telling my story, it will help inspire. Not for financial gain or notoriety, so long as the message is clear enough and carried out. But that's where all this comes in. Because we're not just talking about me as a person or physically or my, trauma. It's about making a change. It's about pushing forward. The stuff I'll be going over isn't easy for me to address. I'm sorry, I know that there's bad lighting, but I'm recording this myself, so bear with me on the shakiness and bad lighting. Right now I'm currently residing in and around Windsor, California, and I am currently on my way to the National State Park foothills in town to continue what I've been doing for the last week or so. Well, I guess I should back up a little. I've always been a physically big person, not knowing when to put the fork down. I've never really been in the shape I've wanted to be in. And even when I'd get close to where I'd want to be, I wouldn't recognize it. Kind of the ugly duckling syndrome. And I wouldn't later know that I was close until after the fact and look at these, pictures, these certain pictures that captured the best version of how I want to be seen, how I feel, despite all my downfalls. But there's a lot of good in me. In any case, I'm digressing. The problem I'm having is that I'm just about 34 years old, and my life's nowhere near where I want it to be by this point. And the sob story, I grew up being bullied about my size, made it very awkward for me to be social, to know how to interact with people growing up. And I didn't really start to make any real friends until about high school. And even then, everybody had cliques. And even with me favoring certain ones, I still kind of felt an outcast among outcasts, that I never really could label myself any one thing over another. And, it's a big deal when you don't know what to call yourself. I mean, it's one thing if, there's just no label for you, but when you're trying to fit in, when you're trying to really analyze who you really are, there's only so much you can do. It hasn't been easy. My mom raised my brother and I, single parent, and she did the best she could with what she had at the time. We grew up on welfare, food stamps, housing. it wasn't until the latter part of my schooling career that she managed to start volunteering as a yard duty, which would trickle over the years and turn into getting paid for it to become a teacher's aide, and now she's working with special kids that have physical and learning disabilities. I've grown up knowing what it's like to have nothing, and for whatever reason I haven't been able to get myself out of it yet. Since I said that my mom obviously raises by herself, that does mean that I didn't have a father growing up either. He had to leave when I was 3, and I saw him maybe 2 to 3 times after that I can remember, and that's been it since. I did have someone I looked up to. I had someone that I would describe as the greatest uncle in the world, but through no fault of his own, he left for Oregon for, less pricey pastures when I was 11. And what I had as a male figure quickly disappeared. And my mom having the heart of gold that she did, ironically enough, the very few men that would try to enter her life and our life were not the best choices for any of us. They set bad examples. They weren't that good of people. As much as they meant well, they were trapped a lot further in than even I am now. What I'm getting at is that I've had an issue with abandonment. That there's a fear that whomever I get attached to in any way, shape, or form is eventually going to leave me behind. Whether it's friends, people whom I thought we were in love, and everything in between. And every time I've given somebody that chance, the opportunity to let them in, the inevitable always happens. We can dive more into my history later, but I want to focus a little more on the right now. Right now, I've been out of work for just about 2 years, having suffered a huge loss to my heart, lost my job, almost had nowhere to stay. I had the decision of either having to live in my car or to go stay with my mom. And regardless of the jokes and jabs that you may come up with to attack my masculinity, when it really comes down to it, it should have been an easy decision to just come back home, come back to Windsor. I mean, it's beautiful, but I was really trying to make it, and I failed. And in my head, I felt like that was it. There's no more. And I stopped trying to live. I really let myself go. As an adult, I would say I managed around 220 for most of my adult life. But in the last 2 years, I've gotten as high as 250, which may not seem like a lot, but for my height of being roughly 5'10", 5'11", and it not being muscle, it's a problem. In any case, I've recently experienced love that is so difficult to explain because it's that simple. I'm not not trying to talk about this to defend the love I have for her, but it's there. She was the key instrument in getting me to turn my life around one step at a time. Where I was really trying not to get assistance from the state, she helped me get it. Go through the process and, make me believe that I was worth having a second chance. That regardless of the things that I had gone through, she saw in me what I had hoped was in there and wanted to see me flourish. It's thanks to her caring, her passion, her love for people and me that has gotten me to where I am right now, which is finally on the right track. But again, I digress. This isn't about her either. I'm just trying to explain the different things that I'm going through all at once. Her and I had a crash course in getting to know one another. We've never really been able to hang out. And we got very close very fast. When I intend to love somebody and hope and think that they're going to be the one, I've given it my all. But like I've said, in this particular case, it's a lot more complicated than usual, and considering that we are both good people, the situation in which we met wasn't ideal. Some of what I've done has been great. It just wasn't done in a timely fashion. And that on top of what she would describe as baggage, the idea of completely committing to me scares her as well. That I'm not reliable, that I'm not able to provide. She doesn't want to have to take care of me, basically. And to my credit or defense, I never wanted her to, never asked her to. She does happen to own her own company and has allowed me to help her on occasion, and that's been great. It's money in my pocket to use for my responsibilities, and it gets me more time to spend with her. And it was the right motivation for me to get started on the things that I should have been doing since I turned 18. Only there's a part of her that wants to believe that the things I'm doing are genuine. But there's a part of her that fears that I'm just going through the motions or trying to pretend. That isn't the case. And that's not the purpose of this series of videos either. But I do hope to prove that by proxy. In the last several weeks, I've had a lot of clarity. Some of it, I could say, is hers. As it was, I was already attending therapy once a week. And I was just starting to get back on anxiety meds, just to have me not freak out about the littlest things, because, we're not all perfect. And, by my definition, I'm BAMF enough to admit that I'm not perfect. That when enough happens, ultimately I will do what needs to be done to get to where I want to go. And a lot of it's just for me. But now we get to the real meat of this video and this series. I don't know how much I'm going to talk left on this one, but there will be other episodes. In any case, I'm devoting my life to my life. And it starts with a heavy road ahead, and I'm not just talking about this one up this hill. I'm talking about everything. Security, finances, being able to take care of myself without help from my mom, from the state, or anybody else. And yes, I've owned BAMFswag.net, which is geared towards selling mostly t-shirts. You know, most of them smart-ass designs, sayings. But to be honest, it hasn't done very well. And that's okay. It was never meant to become my main source of income. But don't get me wrong, if it had, then that'd have been great too. But unfortunately, with the situation I'm in, I didn't have money to really invest into my company, so I've had to use a website that does most of the work for me. All I got to do is design a t-shirt in Photoshop, stick it on the kind of apparel and other merch that I want, and then when anybody buys it, they print it, they ship it, all that stuff, which again costs a lot of money to do, which means even at the prices I have, I get very little of the profits. For the standard black t-shirts, for example, when a t-shirt gets bought, I only make about $4, and I have to wait a month because of their return policy. So in case you have to return it, they don't have to ask for my cutback. So I have to wait a month for the money to clear, and even then, they're only going to send the money in 25 or up intervals. So needless to say, that's a lot of waiting. I've only got 147 likes on Facebook, which is my main source of publication to advertise on a free system. I'm dependent on word of mouth, having friends share with other friends, and so on, just trickle it down. And for whatever reason, I haven't had a whole lot of support. People will be pleasant if it's being talked about, but none of them seem to really back it. And people have a problem with the word swag that I use in it, but for me, swag just means stuff. It means style, which, for me derives from a term that they use for celebrities that get free goodie bags. They called them swag bags, and that's where I took it from. It's not just a particular style, which people don't seem to realize. A lot of people in suits, designer suits, consider what they're wearing swag. So it's just a matter of putting the right combinations of clothes together to create a style. Swag is not just one style. But let me get to the rest of this stuff, this point I'm trying to make. This is just the intro, webisode, entry, whatever you want to call it, my public diary, if you will. I'm going to be leading you on my journey of getting back to where I want to go, to put more focus back on where I'm wanting to go. And it's not about sympathy, it's not about pity, it's not about exploiting anything or anyone. I do hope, though, that through my own struggles and the things that I am overcoming, that at the very least it gives you the inspiration to take care of it yourself. Because there's a vast world out there, and very few of them are ever going to give a shit for you personally. You have to be willing to take care of it yourself, to be self-sustaining, to be strong enough, to be single when you need to be, and then be a badass motherfucker when you have the chance to love the way I have found love. And I do use it as a form of strength, even though there's no guarantees. But that's how life is. There's no guarantees. I am going to do all I can for me, because I have to anyway. And that's what I hope you guys all understand, not only about me,